Hello, and what I thought I would talk about today is the DSM, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. So, what is it? Well, it's rather like a cookbook. This is the main book, the DSM, and this is its casebook companion, which I highly recommend. It has little stories about each particular diagnosis, and in some cases, has a follow-up. So what is the DSM? Is it a cookbook like this? Nope, it's not like that one at all. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders is really a book which allows people who work in the psychological field to all agree upon what a diagnosis constitutes. That is, one person is not diagnosing one disorder with a person, and with the exact same person, a different psychiatrist or psychologist diagnoses something completely different. So, what I thought I would look at is just an example of obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. So, here's the first one. Rules, lists, ordered organization. To the point at which the point of the activity is completely lost. Well, that doesn't sound very good, does it? The second one is about perfectionism. Interferes with task completion, meaning that you're so focused on being perfect that you can't even do the activity anymore. The next one is like workaholic. You're so devoted to work that that's all you think about all the time. Overly conscientious and inflexible about morals and ethics. Now, none of these actually sound horrendous, but the problem is that these people do these all day, every day, 7 days a week, 12 months out of the year, year after year. This is not something that they do once in a while. This is something that's constantly with them. However, all of those actually sound quite negative. They're all pretty bad. To be diagnosed with OCD personality, you need 4 of these that we're talking about. We've just gone over 4, which sounded pretty bad, but let's talk about the next 4. Unable to get rid of worn out or worthless objects. Now, really, isn't there something you can think about that you've kept that you probably shouldn't be keeping because it doesn't work anymore, but you hang on to it anyway? Is reluctant to delegate. I know I have this one pretty bad. I don't necessarily want people to bend it to my will, but I do oftentimes think that my way is maybe the better way. Adopts a miserly spending style, meaning that you're saving money to the exclusion of other things. You wouldn't necessarily buy a new car. You wouldn't necessarily buy new clothes. The clothes you have, the car you have, if they're still in working order, are fine. And the last one, rigidity or stubbornness. Gee, it looks like I must have misspelled that one. These, if you really think about them, I bet many people do these all the time. But again, does this make you OCD? No. The problem is that you have to do them all the time, constantly. Even if you do them maybe a couple times a month, that would still probably not be enough to get you diagnosed. But isn't this list much more likely for you to think, gee, I kind of do that, than the first list? And the last part that I want to talk about here in this part is that if you have a type A personality, someone who's competitive, you really want to win, I bet that many of those things that we've read, you probably do. Hello. I think you've seen the screencast, the PowerPoint that I've done. And I'd just like to talk a little bit more about the DSM. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders is designed by psychiatrists. They get to decide what is and what isn't a mental disorder. Psychologists generally do not. The real problem becomes what is a mental disorder and what isn't? And can that change? And the answer is yes. At one time, homosexuality was a mental disorder, and now it is not. Now, I have the old DSM-4. There was a DSM-4 TR, I believe, and now they finally have the DSM-5 that's come out. And one of the ones that disappeared was Asperger syndrome. That now it's just all autism spectrum disorder. There is no Asperger diagnosis anymore. So just because something is in the DSM doesn't mean it will always be there necessarily. I mean, I think something like schizophrenia will probably always be there, but other things may or may not be. One of the disorders that I find sketchy is dissociative identity disorder, which was previously called multiple personality. It's not that I think it's impossible for multiple personalities to exist, but my personal opinion is that in many cases multiple personality is over-reported or falsely reported. There's the famous case of the Hillside Strangler, Kenneth Bianchi, who claimed, because his lawyer brought it up, that he perhaps had multiple personality, and so that's what he tried to put on a show of. During the trial, they had to bring a big professor from, I think, Pennsylvania to come and disprove. The most famous one, Sybil, who had, I forget how many, 25 or maybe more than that, different personalities. It turns out that the psychiatrist pretty much just made that stuff up, and that she never really had multiple personality at all. One of the things that I suggest personally for me, because I think is important, is it may not actually be a good idea for a psychiatrist, psychologist to tell the client exactly what the disorder is. Well, do I mean you should lie to them? No, you should not lie to them, and you should not keep it a secret. What I'm trying to say is, think about this. Someone's an alcoholic. Everybody knows they're an alcoholic. When you say to that person, "Are you an alcoholic?" what are they going to say? No, of course they're going to say no. It may be for this individual that you can get them to say, "Do you think you drink too much?" "Oh yeah." "Do you drink in excess sometimes?" "Yeah." "Do you drink so much that sometimes you black out?" "Oh yeah." "So you're an alcoholic?" "Oh no, not alcoholic." So what I mean is, it may be that if you give the client the diagnosis, and it's not a really nice one to get, a personality disorder like bipolar disorder, borderline personality, I would be willing to bet that they are going to flat out tell you, "Oh no, I don't have that." Now, I'm not saying don't tell them anything, but perhaps you might tell them something like, "You have an anxiety disorder," instead of "you have panic disorder." You have, I don't know how you tell them they have a personality disorder, because I think they'd probably tell you no. But I think you should take a very slow approach when working with people. If you tell them that they have something and they don't like it, they're going to fight you. So just something to consider. Thank you for watching my video. Bye-bye.